Tonight's guest is Frank Ingrasciotta, who is an award-winning actor, playwright, stage director, and educator, best known for his off-Broadway solo play, Blood Type Ragu. The show has been performed in over 1,200 performances in over 125 venues across the United States and abroad. In Blood Type Ragu, Frank transforms into 22 characters, which he will be doing some of those characters here tonight, tell a story about a second-generation Italian-American's journey to find identity, culture, and forgiveness. It's currently being adapted to a screenplay, so hopefully we'll be seeing that soon. This year, the play was published by Next Stage Press, which, of course, many people write plays. Not all of them get published. We have them for sale today, so take a look and pick them up tonight. Frank's work also spans stage, film, and daytime television dramas. He has directed countless theater productions regionally and throughout New York City, and teaches acting and creative writing to diverse communities across the tri-state area. I want to say that after Frank presents, he will be having a conversation with distinguished Professor Fred Gardefei. So please welcome Frank Ingrasciotta.
The play is a solo show, and I play over 22 characters in it. And I was trying to find the best way to present this. So what I'm going to do is I took it and I condensed it into a short version where you kind of get the gist of the story. And I tried to make a little bit of a through line. It's about my experiences growing up as a first generation. No, I can't say first anymore because I found out through you, through Rosangela, that I'm not a first generation child. I am a second generation child. I thought all this time that I was the first. But what a second generation child goes through growing up between two cultures. So I'm going to be performing, and then there are going to be moments where I piece together the story with some narratives. Frankie! Frangine! Ma dove mio figlio? Franchinello! Ah! Franchinello, bello dello mio cuore, camba tu e comore more. Translated, oh little Franchinello, beautiful in my heart, you live on, and whoever dies, dies. That was my mother's term of endearment every day as I came home from school. Here she is, standing strong, tall, proud, protective of her brood, her arms over the shoulders of my brother Phil and sister Jenny, and their arms over my shoulders, and me not having anything to hold on to, I'm holding on to my penis. Looking up to my mom. Well, I had to hold on to something because I was in for the ride of my life. My story begins at the age of 7 in this house right here in Ridgewood, Brooklyn, 1406 Willoughby Avenue. I'd come home every day from school and greet my mom with a kiss as she'd be preparing our last supper of the day. Oh, food preparation was the umbilical cord to my cultural past. First, you must take a bunch of ancestral roots from Mazzara del Vallo, Sicilia, and let them flower. Let the families arrange to marry the seed of one Gaspare Ingrasciotta to the egg of one Maria Ballatore. Cut the roots from their stems to escape the World War II depression and marinate in transatlantic waters for 15 days. Place them in a 1949 New York melting pot and add 1 box of American cultural mix. Beat the two cultures together, adding sacrifice and hard work over the peasant stock. Reduce the mixture into a one-family home. Then, as a preservative, wrap the entire living room in 1 big plastic slipcover and rope off to use for special occasions only. Then, ladle the rest of the family in a dungeon known as the basement. Spice with zest of Baroque and season to taste. This recipe serves 2 parents, 1 brother, 1 sister, and me. Now, our meals revolved around my father's hunger, and like an intravenous bottle, my mother was a direct link to his nourishment. And the Mass begins. I am seated at the right hand of the Father, with the Madonna directly across from me, the apostles, my brother Phil and sister Jenny, on each side. The perfectly set table becomes a symbol of Holy Communion, covered by a hand-embroidered cloth made by the Holy Mother. Her conveyor belt arms transport our nourishment from the kitchen directly to our plates. My father breaks the Eucharist. Whore from hell! I told you all 50,000 times, you no put Italian bread upside down on the table. It was sacrilegious for him to see a symbol of life desecrated. Pooh! This pane! It tastes like the culo of a porcupine. She's a no from Knickerbocker Bakery. Danger from Gannett. Danger from Gannett. If my father's bread wasn't fresh, no one could start eating. It was my daily chore to bike a mile every day to buy it at his favorite bread shop on Knickerbocker Avenue. This day, I got caught up playing Ringalaria with my friends. Oh, Lord, help me to say the word so I shall be healed. Dad, I got a flat tire on my bicycle, and I didn't want to be late for dinner. So I bought you bread at the corner store because I really wanted you to have it. Ow, Sheko! Just in case you lie. You know, when I was young, I walked with no shoes on every day to buy my padre fresh pane. The heat from the ovens made my blood sweat while I waited on the long lines. You have it too good in this America. This is my body, which will be given up for you. And then the liturgy. The liturgy would begin with pasta. On Sundays, it showed its best. On Saturdays, it was its day of rest. Manicotti, cannelloni, fettuccini, linguini, macaroni, rigatoni, fusilli, tortellini. Con ragù alla marinara, semplici al dente, con aglio, con olio, con pesci, piselli. But wait, more is coming down the assembly line. Meatballs, sausage, eggplant, prosciutto, vegetables, salad, Italian bread, fruit, and that's just the appetizer. A dinner conversation from the gospel, according to my father, Gaspare. Dad, can I have a new bicycle for Christmas? A new bicycle, huh? Va prenderla alla casa della Madonna. Translated, it waits for you at the house of the Virgin Mary. So anything that wasn't food or clothing was considered frivolous. So in my young Catholic mind, I conjured up these fantasies of one day finding this house of the Virgin Mary to collect the toys that she'd been holding for me. Hey, Virgin Mary, how you doing? Now, I never knew any of my neighbors' real names because my mother had nicknamed everyone by their most outstanding feature or characteristic. So out comes La Juda, the Jew. A very attached old Jewish couple, whether together or alone, my mother labeled them just the Jew. Also making a rare appearance was a milky-skinned vampire you see once a month through the crack of her door to shake out her dust rag. She was marked La Morte Passione, the passionate dead woman. Followed by her husband, a Quasimodo-like man with a protruding underbite and a fur coat growing out of his back. He was tagged Il Gobbo di Lana, the woolly hunchback. Already on her porch was my friend Joey's mom, housecoat pink girlies, stockings rolled down to her knees, sitting in a favorite spread-leg position under her lawn statue of the Virgin Mary. Under her breath, my mother would say, Vergogna, shame on you, that the Madonna has to view that. She was branded La Camarata con le gosce aperte, Mrs. Camarata with the legs spread open. And finally, there was my mother's nemesis, La Schetta Rajada, the raging spinster, who every night through her window you'd hear, T'ho dato tutta la mia vita, I gave you my whole life, ma! When are you gonna die and leave me in peace? And one night, her wish finally came true. Non morire, ma, please no die. To which my mother said, but is she ever happy? My high-strung mother walked a tightrope between two worlds, and my father's demands sapped her dry. She longed to be seen, but that wasn't a language he could speak. She grew homesick for her family. The doctors back then diagnosed it as a nervous breakdown. Their prescription? A summer back to her native land, Sicily. So she left my father, brother, and sister behind and dragged me along. Me, the son who swore he'll never be like his father. I turned myself into my mother's every thought and feeling. So in June of 1966, at the age of 7, we arrived to my parents' hometown of Mazzara del Vallo, Sicilia. We step off the plane. Suddenly, all these aunts and uncles I had never met before come charging at us as if we were the Madonna and Child on a comeback concert tour after a 2,000-year absence. From the crowd of aunts, my father's sister Zia Bettina appears. Oh, che fatto un grande Luca Russo. Look how big he got. Oh, come to our house for breakfast. We haven't seen you in 20 years. So now we want to sew you into our skin and wear you as a blouse. From the maze of uncles, my father's brother, Zia Gaetano, appears. Tomorrow mattina andiamo a prendere la ricotta. To celebrate, tomorrow morning we go to make my fresh ricotta. Wow! I loved ricotta. My mother would serve it to me sprinkled with powdered sugar between 2 slices of bread. He takes us through this open field of fly-coated cow dung. We arrive to a dark stall. I see Zio stirring these white solids from liquids with flies dancing all around it. With a proud smile, mangia la ricotta, l'unibut speciale, mangia. Okay. It tastes like sour milk. This was not the supermarket polio I knew. My mother's eating it like candy. Speciale, squisito. Zio's just smiling. Ancora. No, really, Zio, I had enough. Ancora. No, Zio, I had enough. Ancora, speciale, mangia. No, Zio. I hurled the ricotta all over him. Now twice curdled. Che faciste? Mi mazzaste. Mortified, I run out of the stall, avoiding him for the rest of the trip. That evening, just when I was about to take a bite from all the delicious foods my nonna had prepared for me that day, Zia Maria, vieni subito, non è morto. Acting as town crier, my 8-year-old cousin Maria announces that my nonna has suddenly died. My mother spins herself into a Samantha Stevens black regalia and scoops me up as we fly through the dark streets of town. Smells of ragu cooking on wood-burning stoves are drifting out of every window. We arrive to an open door and walk through a red-beaded curtain shimmering the inside light. The hammering of each bead is stiffening as I enter an apprehensive stillness. I see the family sitting around a laid-out dead body. Heads turn as eyes focus on us for a moment, and then, beep! Papa! Como me lasciaste mezzo lasciata? Dad, how can you leave me in the middle of the street? Como te consumaste? How did you get consumed? Misguayaste? You just melted. Zio Gaetano in a black armband, Zia Bettina in a black shawl, are taking turns catapulting themselves against my stiff grandfather's body. On cue, my mother clasps her hands and falls to her knees. I don't know what's going on, but I start crying because she starts crying. The emotional tide guides my other nonna, my father's mother, to sing a lament around her dead husband to comfort her grief. I am moro. I am moro. The numbing vigil takes me into the next morning, waking up to the high-pitched voices of a Sicilian pain competition between my mother and her sisters-in-law. Ai, un dolore di testa di morire, mi pisa. I have a pain in my head to die from, how it weighs me. Ti pare che tu guai la cugnata? Mi tira la nervatura di caffè da cama e piga la schina. You think you have problems, sister-in-law. I have a nerve that pulls me from here to here and lands on my back. Questa è una malattia. Hai una bruciura di stomaco che mi frega come un coccio di fuoco. Guarre. That's an illness. I have a burning in my stomach that fries me like a drop of fire. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. Then I notice that someone's tied a handkerchief around my nonno's head. He looks just like Bugs Bunny. Hey, no. What's up, Doc? Oh! Ah, stai zitto, cieco. That's around his head to keep his mouth closed. Then, from a distance, I hear horse hooves. The family processions behind a black horse and buggy, carrying the open coffin through the town streets. The weeping and wailing call swarms of neighbors from their homes to run up to my dead nonno's body. They slip pieces of paper into his shirt pocket. Filippo, say hello to my husband Nunzio in heaven. I wrote it down, so don't forget, okay? The buggy finally arrives to La Chiesa della Madonna, the Church of the Virgin Mary. This must be the house of the Virgin Mary! Yes! I walk up to the priest conducting the funeral. Voglio la bicicletta. Voglio la bicicletta. My father told me there's a bicycle that waits for me at the house of the Virgin Mary. This is the Virgin Mary's house, isn't it? Because I want my bicycle. Ah! Non fare lo stupido. Respect the dead. We arrive to the burial site. Che la morte mi pigliasse subito. Death, take me now. Put me with my husband. Nonna takes a flying leap into the grave. Grave jumping, a well-known Olympic sport in Sicily. No one flinches as they boomerang her back. I don't want to be with you. I want to be with him. As the family parades back from the cemetery, we pass this huge sunflower field where I see a group of crop workers working in the sun. A hypnotic pull draws me toward their frantic dancing around one of the field workers. I break away from my mom. Their chanting entrances me as the field workers now convulsing on the ground. I don't know why, but I'm riveted to dance the dance with them. No! Shimonito! Do you want to catch what she has? The worker, she was bitten by a tarantula. They dance the tarantella to sweat out the poison of evil spirits until the doctor arrives. Don't I have enough evil spirits in my own life? Well, to get help for her evil spirits, my mother sought counsel from a Sicilian psychiatrist. Grazie. Thank you, Spirit. Qualcuno t'ha fatto una fattura. Someone's put the malocchio on you and your son. Who put this evil eye on us? Says my mom to Signora Paolina, a 90-year-old Remina Vendura town fortune teller with breasts sagging down to her thighs and olive oil smeared on her eyelids. Grazie. Thank you, Spirit. I cannot tell you, but someone did it to you, and they did it to you good. They did it so that you cannot look at your husband, and your husband cannot look at you. Oh no, not the famous fattura. That was my mom's out for never having to take responsibility for anything in her own life. Growing up like a mantra, I'd hear, they did it to us. Oh, don't ask me who's they. They know who they are. Ci colpa la disgraziata de Lubronx. It's the fault of your father's sister Nina from Lubronx. She cursed me because she thinks I threw mule urine on her wedding dress on her wedding day. It was good luck, holy water. That's why nothing go right for me. Am I right, Signora Paolina? Ooh, that's good. That's right. Grazie. Thank you, Spirit. We must remove this fattura to exorcise the evil spirits. We must expel it first from your son. Me? There's no fattura on me. I'm okay, really I am. She starts rubbing my stomach with her special fattura remover, made of ragu, garlic, and olive oil. Alla mattina con la Pasqua, con le neve della casca. With the dull side of a knife, she scrapes the mixture off of me. Va via, spirito maligno! Her roadmap face and her shamanic energy comes towards my face. I know who you are, Senora Paulina. You're that orange monster gossamer with white sneakers and no arms from my favorite Bugs Bunny cartoon. You monsters are the most interesting people, the places you must go and the things you must see, my stars. Upon our departure, family accompanied us to the airport. Oh, you're leaving without tasting my homemade ricotta cheesecake. Here, take it with you. Hey, you're leaving without tasting my homemade wine. Here, take it with you. Oh, take my handmade lace. Take my fresh pressed olive oil. Take my heart. My mother, in her grief, runs up to the tarmac onto the plane, forgetting that I was with her. Ma, no, please, don't leave me here. Ma, no. Ah, Frangine, we have to go back to that America. My shirt is stained with the tears of everyone's sadness. I see my mother's face pressed up against a plane window for one look. I cry not for them, but for her grief, as she holds a ticket to my happiness. As the plane taxis, I see these balloons of waving handkerchiefs dancing in midair. Arrivederci, un mi scordare, mi la salutare a tuo pace. Don't forget us, say hello to your father. Upon return to America, my parents' marriage crumbled. As I grew into adulthood, a Cold War settled over the house. Silence replaced all family celebrations. Shame replaced connection. Eventually, they sold the house and separated after 35 years. Alone and lost, my father planned a trip to Sicily to reconnect with his family. But a week before his departure, he suffered a massive attack of the heart. The half-packed suitcases, the gifts for relatives, scattered among the IV tubes that couldn't revive a hidden heart. My mother, she leaned on me as her second husband. Although there were rewards for being a family's prince, the cost was a boy trying to find himself as a man. Until one day, to save myself, I realized I had to let go of that rope to allow a healthy relationship in my life. That's when I met Teresa. I never thought I'd marry a Sicilian woman. She was from the culture, but not of it. She knew my story and loved me anyway. When love is pure, there are no stories to tell. She taught me to be a husband as a man and not as a boy. We married. But our parents lived in Sicily. A celebration waited for us there at the tail end of our honeymoon. After 29 years, never did I imagine going back. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. We married. While in Sicily, Teresa asked if I wanted to look up my family, but did I want to reopen the shame I had long buried. Would I be accepted? Finally, I got up the courage to call my father's siblings. My zia Bettina, zio Ricotta Gaetano. Zio never married, and Zia took care of him. Teresa was my moral support. Pronto? Sì, pronto, sono Franco dell'America, qui in Mazzara. Ma cue? Franco dell'America. Non conosco un Franco dell'America. Franco dell'America. Franco, sì. Zia, how are you? I've got bronchitis and your uncle's blind. Oh, well, we'd like to see you this afternoon if that's okay. I can't pick you up. I've got bronchitis and your uncle's. I got it. We'll find you this afternoon. Okay. She's got bronchitis and my uncle's blind. To which my wife replied, well, let's go meet these people. With map in hand, we navigate dusty streets. As my senses reawaken to the smells of ragu, we turn a desolate corner as every church bell in town begins ringing. The sound goes through me. A chill goes up my spine as my wife says, your father's walking with us. He's celebrating you. This is my aunt's house. A white-haired lady waited for us at the top of the stairs. Bee! For a moment I thought it was your father. Franco dell'America. Sit. No, Zia, that's okay. Zia, where's Zio? Bee! I tell you, nephew, he's not well. Diabetes blinded him. Depressed. He sits alone in the dark, not wanting to see anyone. I've cooked and cleaned for him my entire life. And what do I get? Curses flung in my face. It's a world of troubles. Don't be offended if he doesn't show himself. So why are you here after all these years? Well, I'm on my honeymoon and my in-laws live here and Zio Gaetano? A little man in a gray suit appears, wearing a matching fedora with the feather in it. His hands held a log of gelato and flowers.
I've come to see my brother's son. I would have brought my fresh ricotta. But I'm too old to make it now. You liked my ricotta, didn't you? Ah! Grudges at my age. Ah! Why did I waste the time? You wear my brother's features. I was so happy when your father was coming to see us after all these years. But life struggles have kept this family apart. When I got the message that he... But today, today you walk the path of your father. You are the bridge.
Never once did anyone mention what happened to my family.
I remember your mother, strong-willed. She walked the streets like she owned them. A good woman.
Oh, Zio, so much has happened to her between then and now. Zio, is that a picture of me?
Your father sent it to us with a letter. He wrote of how proud he was of you.
Proud of me? Zio, please, I'm confused. Help me. Help me to remember. What was he like before he came to America?
This was in your nonna's house her entire life. She kissed it whenever she passed. But when she died, I took it. But I no longer have my eyes to appreciate it. Oh.
It was my father at 4 years old. Such innocence in his eyes. His fingers look like little sausages. Zio, he wasn't an easy man to get to know.
Do we truly know anyone? But this is who you are. And that is just what happened to you. You take this home. You know where you come from. I'm glad you've come. As we said goodbye, our tears went beyond us. I think they were tears for all the missed opportunities to connection. I felt washed, not from an outside fattura, but the one I've been carrying in my heart. My Zia Bettina's eyes had softened by what she witnessed. Say hello to your mother. I remember her. After leaving, Teresa and I drove around town, not saying a word, trying to process what had just happened. Wait, honey, please, pull over. I remember a little boy with no front teeth, in short shorts and sandals, dancing the dance of his ancestors in this sunflower field.
I'm going to ask you, how many times has it been performed?
Over 1,200 performances, nationally and internationally and off-Broadway.
So I can't brag that I've only seen 6.
I know. I know.
It's just made me want to see more. And I watched, I think through the 6 shows, the things changed.
Yeah.
Of course they changed.
Yeah.
And from your first show to the show that you have recorded in paper here, what has stayed?
First of all, it's been a gift to do this as long as I have, because it's like I've done 30 shows in one show, because it's given me so many experience. What has stayed is the story, just the story. I appreciate the story, and I appreciate my parents so much, knowing what they went through, and in a weird way, like living inside their bodies, and experiencing that. I have a much deeper sense of compassion, and I feel like, the little spirits are with me, when I do it. So what has stayed is the deepening of the story and finding new levels of performance as an actor, and finding ways to make these characters just much richer. And I've also learned that there's a gift to taking your time,
Because it has evolved tremendously. I remember when I was writing a book called From Wise Guys to Wise Men, I wanted to include the play, because the book talks about why we have wise men and we don't deal with them. We just deal with the wise guys. And that in order for a man to become wise, he's got to acknowledge, utilize, and manifest the femininity inside of him, which most men don't want to deal with. And that's what I saw when I first saw this play. He reminded me today of something that I had said when I saw it for the first time. It was. You remember the words better than I do.
Well, I had not. The show was still in process, and the off-Broadway run hadn't happened yet. But Fred came to see it, and he came up to me, and I hadn't met him before. And he said, he told me who he was, and then he said, "You're telling a Italian-American story that has not been told, which is the journey of the son and what that son goes through to become a man, to find his own masculine self." And then at that time, he said, "I don't know if the culture is ready for that yet," because it was during the time of The Sopranos, because I've been around doing this for a while. But it has found its own, I think, its own.
Because in the book, I talk about the only way to become a wise man is to acknowledge, like I said, and manifest the femininity. And inside of you. And what I found in his play was somebody who took the guts to do that, because if you see the play all the way through, you begin to understand the power that a mother has over her son as opposed to a father. And you begin to see that in many respects, a boy never becomes a man until his father's dead. I know it's hard for you to understand that, but for me, my father died when I was 10, and I became a man at 10, which is ultimately ridiculous. Your father died a lot older.
Yeah, he died when he died at 65, so I was 26,
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
But it's the same story.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of, and I remember the beginning, he starts off, the first time I saw it, it was when you were born, and he said it in Sicilian, when you were born, you ripped me in half, and so on. And the mother goes on, my boy, my husband. And that, because I was my mother's husband from the age of 10 until she died. In that respect, and it is incredible. And so I saw so much of not just my story, but the stories that I had been paying attention to growing up, especially most of the stories of the gangsters. You know, people think, well, you know, nobody's really done a really good job of analyzing those gangsters. I mean, from either a critical point of view in terms, or a psychological point of view. And it's here. It's in this play, and this is what I wrote about in From Wise Guys to Wise Men. But all he did, you didn't go to psychology school or anything, did you?
No, but
Right.
I did do a little work on myself before.
Well, no.
To understand
I
the dynamics and the
Wise Guys to Wise Men was the first book that was delayed because I
Right.
went into therapy.
Right.
But there's something that happens, you know. I mean, when you go into therapy, was your mother alive when you went to therapy?
Yeah, she was alive. I mean, the reason why I took on that role at the age of 7 is, I acted out in scenes, and you see it in the whole play, but because my father wasn't cutting it, you know, so. And I, of course, being the youngest and I guess the most sensitive of the three, my mother tuned in on that, you know, yeah.
Yeah, and
You want to please. I mean, when you're that young, and also there's a gift. I mean, it's kind of cool, you know, to be the prince at a young age. You get treated special, but you don't realize what it's doing to you when you get older and you're starting to try to have a relationship that's healthy, you know.
And so when I saw the whole play, I said, here's a guy who worked it out. You know, he's another one. You know, I mean, it's almost like another alcoholic meeting another. You know, nobody else understands it. They tell me just stop drinking. You know, but you understand me.
And you said that.
Yeah. Well, that's what this play brought out, and I think it keeps the culture alive, and Italian Americans don't even know that. When they see the play, they'll go crazy. Mm-hmm. But if they don't see the play, then they'll be crazy in an American kind of way. And to me, that's the big difference. And we don't support our own culture the way we support American cultures, like the St. Jude's Hospital. If I had a dime for every $1 million that was given by Italian Americans to St. Jude's Hospital, I could fund your movie.
Right. They'll support you if you're putting up an awning in front of a a supermarket.
Yes,
they'll all come out of this.
they're very practical, in that respect. So it's taking a while, and it's good to see that, you know, people like Frank have stayed alive and healthy, so that the message can. Because how long ago did you start this project?
Ooh, all right. It's in the year I've been doing
The year of our Lord.
Yeah, in the year of our Lord. It started in its infancy in the year 2000. That's when I started to
25
think
years.
there's something here, you know. And then I wrote it. It got produced at the Belmont Playhouse in the Bronx first. Dante Alberti produced it, and then it was supposed to last 6 weeks. It lasted 6 months. So then from there, I just kept doing it in different venues around. That's when you had seen it. And then finally, our producer, Andrew Levine came in, and a director came in and said, let's do this. And the director took what was a 2-act play with an intermission and said, cut it down to 80 minutes, make it more about the Holy Trinity, your mother, your father, and you. And then, the formula of a one-person show. And he was just the greatest gift in helping me to understand how to make it work. And then that's how it got its off-Broadway production. And then from there, I ran there about 8 weeks, and I got some good reviews, thank God. And then that built cachet for regional theaters to bring me in. So. Yeah.
So I'm just even watching you today, I knew what was going to happen in the play, but I didn't know, and because the way you present it, so it doesn't. I don't get tired of it. Why don't I get tired of it? Have you been? Are you tired of it?
No.
25?
I mean, I hope God graces me the body to still do a 90-minute show. It's a little, challenging these days. But no, I don't get tired of it because I always find something different in it. And the other thing that's interesting is I'm not the same man I was when I started this, and I'm not the same man I was 10 years ago. So every time I do it, I find another level of like, oh, okay, that's what's going on here. So it's just, interesting to play that.
I'd like to open it up to anybody who would have any questions. I could sit here and talk all day long. I could talk about it. He doesn't even have to be here, and I could talk for 3 hours about it. I do, actually, because I teach the play. Now I can teach the play. I used to teach the play just from little excerpts.
He used to teach a professor in Stony Brook. He used to have me come in and do a little bit of the play and then open it up as an educational conversation for his Italian-American students. So that was great.
Because, to me, I mean, the thing that I'm most interested in is, what does it mean to be a man in Italian-American society? Because I grew up in a community of incredible violence. I had most of my father figures in my life killed before I was the age of 14. And so to me, the way to be a man was to avoid getting killed. If you could stay alive, you were a man. And sometimes that meant fighting. Most times that meant fighting. And a lot of times it meant running. As you get out of those neighborhoods and move into a world where people use their words instead of their violence, instead of their bodies, you begin to understand that there are options. And you don't think of looking back into your culture for the options. And that's what works like Blood Type Ragu enable us to do. The answer is there. The problem is there, but the solution is also inside. And that's what art does that a lot of education can't do, history can't do it. But certainly the art can do that. It can show you the problem and give you the solution. And I think you've done very good. This is a book for the future. I always say the future of Italian American culture is in understanding our stories, not our history. Mm-hmm. So. Comments, questions?
Yes. So I love everything you're saying. I'm sitting with a group of men that have done this work together with Frank for 35 years.
We're part of a men's group.
But in witnessing Frank's journey, what has been fascinating is that the very specific Italian story has resonated with other cultures as well. Yeah. So the universal and the specific come together and meet in a place of truth. So maybe, Frank, you can talk a little bit.
That's a good point.
You can talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's interesting because, and I want to say before I answer that question is, it's the educators who step forward first, who have always been supportive of me, but have stepped forward first. So I just want to acknowledge that, and the Calandra Institute as well. So when I was playing in Buffalo, and this young Asian man came up to me, And he said to me, he goes, "You might have already lived that story. I'm living it now." He said, because, I got the first, I'm second generation. I got parents who, I speak Chinese to, and then, Muslim girls coming up to me afterwards saying, I'm already, my marriage is already set. My parents already said it. It's like, it's still happening, in a lot of cultures already, that kind of story. And, I've had also, people, I'm very grateful that, people have come up and have wanted to tell their story,
And what Italian-American film
Yeah.
was there before this
Right.
to make that aware, to let us see that?
Right.
I did a play called Vinegar and Oil. And I had African Americans, I had Jewish Americans, I had Asian Americans, everybody come in and say, that's my family.
Yeah.
So exactly what you're saying. And we don't know. We're just telling our story. I don't know the whole
Right.
history of all these other cultures, because it seemed to me the majority of the people who came to see my performances were not Italian American.
Mm-hmm. But I have to say, like writing this, and I think you told me a story like this too, I knew I could have made it just funny, and that would have been enough. But I had to, in order for me to feel satisfied, I had to go deeper. And when I was writing those deeper parts, I would write for like 30 minutes, and then I had to get up and walk around, because my internal nervous system, was like shaken, because, and I kept trying to figure out why. And it wasn't, it was because I knew I had to speak a truth about the story, and I had to, I don't want to say air it out, but I had to let it out. That's what I think makes people understand and resonate, which is giving me longevity. Yes.
The effect of Fiddler on the Roof, where one of the main numbers is tradition.
Yes. Yes.
Every culture has tradition,
Yes.
so everybody can relate to that.
Right.
And the sad parts and the tragedies and the families and the joy. So
But the idea is whose story is capturing people's attention at this time, and I think Frank's story has not been told in the widespread media that, if you ask somebody, what do you know about Italian Americans? Mm-hmm. Capone, Columbus, the two C's. And so I think this is the problem that I have been trying to solve for the last 50 years. I thought I could do it through teaching. That's not enough. Teaching, I could change 10, 15 students per class. And then I started speaking out to Italian American organizations, because they're very good about saying they're Italian American, but then they give their money to hospitals, which is a great cause, but they don't understand that support. When I was trying to create Italian American studies at a university, why should I give money to a public institution? It runs on my tax dollars. And then you have to dispel people that we don't get tax money. It comes from tuition. So it's the story, and the goal is to get this out. And if it takes 25, 30 years to get it into a national consciousness, it'll be the only thing, I think, one of the only things that changes. Frank Capra wanted to do a film by Pietro Di Donato called Christ in Concrete. How many of you know that? Very few of you do. 1939, the novel beat out Grapes of Wrath for Book of the Month Club. Nobody's ever heard of it since, all right? Frank Capra wanted to make it into a movie. Pietro Di Donato said, I'm not giving it to you, you capitalist pig. Now, if Frank Capra had made the movie, then instead of the stereotype of the gangster, it would have been a stereotype of the worker who was killed on his job, which is a hell of a lot more workers killed on jobs of Italian-American ancestry than gangsters. And so this is the key. And it has a lot to do with the slowness we came to literacy. We've always had stories. Our oral traditions have always been strong. But who's going to write them down? If you tell somebody from your neighborhood that you're a writer, they'll look at you and say, what are you going to do with that? When I went to my one of my neighborhood reunions, we pulled in, and my son looked around and he said, Dad, you're the only one of these guys who all went to college? I said, yeah, a couple of them went for a few years. He said, you got the highest PhD? I said, yeah. He goes, well, why are we driving the junkiest car? And it made me realize that, yeah, that's, it was about survival, and then survival is about it becomes accumulation so that you can continue to survive. And then people accumulate beyond the need to survive, but they can't stop accumulating. And so to me, that's the key. And hopefully with this publication, with the screenplay, it will happen. And and there's more money than in Italian America than there is in just about any other ethnic group.
There sure is.
And it's just a matter of not raising money, but raising consciousness. If you raise the consciousness, the money will come. And I think this play does that.
Yeah.
I want to ask you something about your dad, because I know you had to leave a lot out, but as I recall from seeing it on the Broadway network, he was a little violent, right? He was.
Yeah.
That's how they got a divorce, which was a big thing back
Yeah,
then.
yeah, he had
People
to-
didn't get divorced like
No.
that. No, that was.
Well,
a big
actually,
thing.
they never divorced.
Oh, they didn't get
They
divorced.
never divorced. They just separated
Oh, they
because you didn't do that in those days.
Right.
So.
But he was
they-
gonna smack your mother, right?
Yeah, there was some domestic violence there. He was short fuse and old world, old world. Yeah.
And was that an arranged marriage back in the old country?
It was not in the towns like my in-laws. They were arranged, but they were. It was implied. It was implied because my mother used to hang out. She loved hanging out the window, even as a young woman, and the vendors used to pass by and ogle her. And when my father was working the fields, he would see it. He nailed in the windowsill so she could only look out so much, so men could not ogle her. So it was definitely, we'll make the choice. When I hear these stories, I couldn't put that story in the show. I get why they were the way they were, because my father didn't have a good relationship with his father either, and I found that out through my uncle. Yeah.
They're all gone now.
Yeah, they're all gone. Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to say that was such a moving performance.
Oh,
really, thank you so very much. I
you.
laughed. I cried at the end.
Oh,
Truly, it was so touching, especially as an Italian American. I'm not a second gen. I'm like way down the line, but it was so relatable. And I wanted to know why it was so. Maybe, I don't know if difficult is the right word, but maybe why it took so long to go back to Sicily.
This is what happened. My parents, in the story, my parents separated but yet lived in the same house. So a house divided cannot stand. And my refuge lot was the basement, because my brother and sister fled as soon as they could. So they had it arranged that they lived in the same house, but they never had to look at each other. So relatives would ring the doorbell and nobody would answer because of the shame of not, because they were always put on the front till they couldn't put on the front anymore. So they estranged everyone. The family in Italy, the family in America. So everybody
Another movie coming.
Yeah. So everybody was like, what the hell happened to them? They're so weird, And I always thought from the things my mother fed me, that everybody else was weird. But I realized we were weird. And I found theater. I was just trying to find other things to get out. It was not until I met Teresa, whose parents lived 6 months in Sicily and 6 months here, that I knew I had an uncle, an aunt. I knew I had cousins there on both sides of the family. And she encouraged me to look them up, opposite parts of the island. But the first time I rang that doorbell, my hand was doing this because I was thinking of all the stories I've been fed. Because when I was 7, I met all these people. Yeah. I remembered them. A 7-year-old's mind is like a camera. It's so impressionable. So that's why I could tell these stories today. It's like it happened yesterday. Wow. And I realized I was shaking because I was carrying all their shame. But when I got that picture and I spent that afternoon with my uncle, he helped me to wash that shame. Because I just got, oh, okay, these are human people who made mistakes. And to see my father, that picture's so innocent. And something happened to him, as he got older that made him who he was, And just to walk the streets that I walked at 7 years old again as an adult, it was just a tremendous healing. So what took so long was the estrangement of the family. And I didn't want to know from them. My sister and my brother never really reconnected. I was the one who reconnected. But it wouldn't have happened if I didn't meet my wife.
That's
Because
beautiful.
because she kept saying, you should look them up.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. This is the Fordham Italian American department over here. College, yes, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, thank you very much. This was really
Thank you, Maria.
terrific. I know you had featured for Iowa too, but I wasn't there that night either. So, has this been produced overseas? Has it been done in Italy?
No.
Could
but
it be
that-
done in Italy?
I'd
Sure, it
love
could
Will
be.
it be
could
done in
be.
Italy?
I'd
I
prob-
mean, I think it's really like,
I would have to translate it, but I could do it in Italian. I mean, I played in Mexico, I played in Canada. I haven't done it overseas, but I would love to do it in Italy because I know from watching who watches the video, there is an Italian demographic that's watching it in Italy as
I
well.
think we're a curiosity to them.
Yeah, because I had a lot of Italian tourists that
On
would
some
come.
level, I think we're a curiosity because
When I was-
we're mixed,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
We're
When I was
hybrid.
running in New York, well, because a lot of those people, half those people came here, and something to explore. Any other questions?
And your sister, where did she fit in the family? Like, you were left behind because you were the youngest child.
Well, we all took refuge in the basement, the three of us. We saved each other and watched, all those sitcoms down there. My brother was
Obviously, you watched the Three Stooges.
right,
I see the Three Stooges in your performance.
and my saviors actually, my babysitters. I say this was Bugs Bunny and I Love Lucy, but I in the reruns. I'm not that old, but. My brother was he always was trying to get rich quick, so he would come up with these ideas and, so he was a little bit of a lost soul. And my sister, God bless her, she just wanted her freedom and she couldn't wait to get out of the house, And I have a scene in the play, where she announces she's going to move, and she was only 21, I think. And that was a Sicilian daughter, unmarried, does not move out of the house at that time.
So how did she what was her escape? How did she do that?
She got a degree in accounting. She started working. She saved money. And she just, her first opportunity to get out, she rented an apartment behind my parents' back, And then, of course, we're all at the dinner table, and she's going, under her breath, she's going, I'm moving out. And then, my father thought she wanted more trout, and then I heard it, because I'm sitting next to her, and I went, now's not the time, and she said it, and it was just like a blow up, because they took it they took it personally. It was like, they always made it about them, so it was always like, you're moving out, you're going to be a butana,
No good girl moves out.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So the only reason why she'd be moving out is to be a butana, So it was a big deal. But I have to, to my sister's credit, she was very successful in her career, and they were proud of her. They have to be. I think that the three of us were a lesson to them because they had to be retaught in certain. I've never thought of it this way before, but they had to be retaught in different ways to see their children differently. And it's on the child, I think, if the child chooses to do it, to show them, with love. Because there was I never doubt in my mind that my parents hated me. They loved me. I know that they loved me in the best way they knew how, So that was never there was never issues with that. There were a lot of issues with boundaries, though.